Introduction. I wrote these 4 poems to thank and honor my teachers, Josho Adrian Cirlea and Paul Roberts, as well as our Amida Dharma masters, Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, Tan-Luan, Daochuo, Shandao, Genshin, Honen, and Shinran, without whom I could not have found and understood, in my case only to some small extent, Amida Dharma and my utter helplessness trapped in the endless suffering of Samsara. Never forget these wise words from TANNISHO, passages deploring deviations of faith by Yuienbo. Quote, unless guided by a karmically related teacher, how could anyone expect to enter the gate of easy practice? Nobody should defile the doctrine of the other power by his own arbitrary interpretations. End quote. I hope that these verses help others and motivate them to find a good teacher like Josho Adrian Cirlea, listen deeply to Amida Dharma, and say, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, Amida Buddha. Homage to Amida Buddha. I take refuge in Amida Buddha. When Death Comes Calling. Verses by Gansen, John Welch. When death comes calling, choices are non-existent, not even few. There is nothing to say or do, but to submit and call it quits. Searching desperately, far and wide, will find no place to run and hide. Energy, endurance, stamina and strength all falling. Exhaustion and weakness increase. As helplessly you lie, waiting to die. This is Samsara, where suffering never ceases. Only enlightenment brings escape from bondage, in this and every age. So, I beg you, accept Amida's primal vow now, before it is too late, and ignorance, greed, and hate cause rebirth in dark and deluded states, where the light of wisdom and compassion burns low, and is but a feeble glow. Follow not the world's blind passions and fashions, but seek the light of Amida's wisdom and grace, and his infinitely merciful and compassionate face. Namo Amida Butsu. This poem was inspired by Josho Adrian Cirlea's very important book, The 4 Profound Thoughts which Turn the Mind towards Amida Dharma, and particularly the chapter on impermanence and death, which is the source for the following passage. If we reflect deeply on death and become aware that we may die at any moment, we should never again postpone listening to Amida Dharma, ask questions of our teachers to solve our doubts, and be sure we receive genuine faith in Amida Buddha. End quote. Samsara's Ceaseless Suffering. Verses by Gansen, John Welch. Human beings run around blindly seeking to be free from suffering, but nowhere can they see an exit from Samsara's endless dark maze. They stumble about, peering desperately into the black haze. In deep despair they cry out for wisdom and light, to free them from all their fears in the darkest of nights. Only Amida's infinite wisdom and compassion can free humanity from their insane delusions and passions. Open your hearts and minds, and you will find salvation in Amida's grace, no matter where you are in time and space. Namo Amida Butsu. I wrote this poem after reading and thinking about Master Shinran's wise words. Quote, in this fleeting world, this burning house, all matters without exception are empty and false, totally without truth and sincerity. End quote. This was quoted by my teacher, Reverend Josho Adrian Cirlea, in his wonderful book, The Path of Acceptance, Commentary on TANNISHO. The Importance of Human Life. Verses by Gansen, John Welch. Day by day we decline and decay. With every breath we're closer to death. You will bitterly regret if you ever forget the wise words of the world-honored one, who taught the preciousness of human life, remember as we run our race from the womb to the tomb, that though humans suffer endless strife, it is nothing compared to the sufferings in hell, and only Buddhas can tell if we will be reborn in a lower state, filled with ignorance, greed, and hate. What is the solution to our mind's pollution and our appalling situation? It is to listen with deep devotion to good teachers of true Amida Dharma, and have faith in Amida's infinite grace. Only then will you be free of any trace of negative karma. With an attitude of humble gratitude, say with sincere and deep gratitude every day, Namo Amida Butsu. This poem was inspired by reading Master Shinran's words, quote, "We should realize that in truth we are ordinary unenlightened beings involved in birth and death, who from the remotest past up to the present time have been forever floundering in Samsara, and that we have no way of freeing ourselves." End quote. I wrote this to thank and honor my teacher, Josho Adrian Cirlea, as well as my previous teacher, Paul Roberts, who went to Amida's Pure Land in December 2017. The unenlightened human life is a prison cell. Verses by Gansen, John Welch. The unenlightened human life is a prison cell that is both heaven and hell, as all samsaric lives are impermanent and all experiences are transient. A second of excruciating agony obliterates a lifetime of pleasure. Of this we can be completely sure. What sane person would not willingly do everything to avoid the former and hope for the latter? But ultimately, what really matters is to be free from the consequences of our karmic past, and to be totally free at last from all cravings, aversions, confusions, and delusions. Only Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and life, can free us from all fear and strife. If we entrust Amida with our karmic destiny, entirely, utterly and completely, saying humbly with an attitude of great devotion and gratitude, Namo Amida Butsu. This poem was inspired by the following passage from TANNISHO, Passages Deploring Deviations of Faith, by Yuienbo. Quote, "At the very moment when we are moved to utter the Nembutsu by a firm faith that our rebirth in the Pure Land is attained solely by virtue of the unfathomable working of Amida's original vow, we're enabled to share in its benefits that embrace all and forsake none. We should realize that Amida's original vow never discriminates between the old and the young, the good and the evil, and that what matters most is the heart of faith alone. For the vow was originally made for the purpose of delivering sentient beings sorely defiled by their vices and passions. Therefore, once faith in the original vow is steadfast, no other good is needed, for there is no good superior to the Nembutsu. No evil should be feared, for there is no evil powerful enough to obstruct Amida's original vow." End quote.